Hello, everyone. I'm just coming to you again regarding some thoughts that have been brought to my mind. I really do believe from the creator of heaven and earth. Just came back from getting a few things with what little money was generously given to me by my sister until I can receive my last, not last, but my next paycheck, basically. Um, it's just how this is how bad things have gotten with the economy. I went to Walmart, and it is true. This is really the first week of the month, and normally around this time you have a lot of people shopping. A lot of poor people, lower to middle class poor people out there shopping. And right now, I'm definitely part of those lower middle class, and due to the loss of my job, like so many millions of people as of late have been laid off from work or removed from their positions, or their positions have been eliminated. And so, when I was walking through Walmart just to pick up a few things to get me through until next week, it was very sparse. It was very sparse. Like literally, it is true when you're seeing all the videos out there. You can literally walk up to the cash register and get service instead of there being a long ass line. Now, also too, what I noticed is that there were no smiley faces, and once more, no one was talking to, even if they were in pairs, the few people that were in there, if they were in pairs, um, no one was talking. It was really quiet in Walmart. All you could hear was the cash registers. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional about it because I've never seen anything like this. I never experienced anything like this in a shopping center, especially in Walmart. All you heard was the shuffling of feet and cash registers, and those were not ringing off the hook. They were just, every so often. Um, yeah, and no one was smiling. Um, and no one didn't have any kids with them. I noticed that, and maybe there was one kid, but I didn't notice any children. It was mostly adults. And here's the thing: the few people that were in there, um, it was not families. It was primarily very, very young adults or the elderly. I think I was one in maybe one handful of, you know, middle age, 30, 40, 50-ish in age people. And even the parking lot for Walmart, those of you who've been to Walmart, you know that parking lot is always full. Literally, just the frontal part of that Walmart had cars, and there were spaces in between. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I thought that people were being overly dramatic about the, the 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 shopping areas, but I realized that that is not the case. They were absolutely telling the truth. And funnily enough, what the creator brought to my mind when I got back in my car, because I will have to admit to you that in my brain, when I calculate the numbers, I know in my own personal situation, even though I worked all my life. I mean, ever since my first job, I was 14, and I worked when they used to have malls in the um, 90s. And so, and from there, I just always had a job. This is the first time that I'm experiencing long-term unemployment. And it's an eye-opener as far as This time around, because in between jobs when I left or whatever, there's a couple of times where I did that and moved to something different, that there was maybe 2 or 3 weeks in between, but for the most part, I was able to always get another job. But this one has been going on since the summer. And like so many other people, I have applied. But I'll tell you one thing is that the Creator has, and this is so weird, and I don't know if any of you have had this, the Creator has actually lifted from me um, the desire to even go back out into the society. And here's the thought process. One, which has occurred to me is that no, you're done. Kingdom, this kingdom of Satan's is done, and so you are not to contribute anymore to it. And a lot of Black people aren't supposed to contribute anymore to it. That's the thought that keeps coming to me. The second one is the observation that I'm not panicking about my situation. It is so weird because the few times where I was in between jobs, even though they were very, very short stints, I mean, really short stints, sometimes it was I already had another job lined up and I was just waiting to start that. I was like really on edge about where am I going to get this, where am I going to get that, where am I going to get this. But this time around, it just is. I know it's not under my own will, and it's not that I'm in denial. I know my situation, and I know the economy that's going on right now, and I also know that this is the end of America, unfortunately. But fortunately, unfortunate for some, fortunate for the rest. And I believe that the Spirit of the Most High is upon me, that is alleviating me not to go into despair. And it is so, so weird. I can't even really get into it. I mean, obviously it's a relief. I am doing things to take care of myself, like going to the park, exercising, reading upon the Most High's word. I'm also listening to a lot of commentators that have just been bringing out some really good, encouraging information. One of the ones that has been very, very helpful is a YouTuber named Big Judah. And if you haven't already, I would suggest you go and listen to his commentary, because it is very, very insightful and uplifting and very truth-telling too. Not only that, for personal purposes, he's nice to look at. Very handsome man. He's well educated, it sounds like. And of course, he's married like most men. But I digress. Bless him and his family, of course. Marriage was never afforded to me. And I'm not a bad-looking woman. I've been literally stopped in the streets and been told how beautiful I am multiple times. And I've been always very cordial, smiling, thank you, da da da. And would change them, and then they would get in their car and just drive away. I have actually never experienced a man sexually. I've attempted to ask men out. That didn't go so well. And the two that did try to date me, they had other things going on in their lives, so that fizzled out very quickly. And I'm not one to get into fist fights with anybody's woman or anything else. That's just not how I move. It's not cordial or sexy. But I remember a relative of mine telling me early, like in my teens, telling me that the Creator of the universe has put a hedge around you. So don't. The Creator of the universe has basically kept me housed and kept me fed and kept me with transportation and with work up until now. Again, this is the first time that I can remember where I haven't been at work, but really where it just did not bother me. It seems to me what I really wanted to say, what it seems to me is if the creator of the universe wants us to take a moment and kind of realize that he has removed the power of the wicked one and those that have served the wicked one, and that they cannot hold up their economy anymore. And that is for all of them. I bet you right at this moment, even those that had dominated this world are burning through their money left and right. And we must understand the selfishness that has been a factor in their devilry. So a lot of wealthy or rich people don't like spending their money. They like spending other people's money. But there's a certain amount or a certain cachet that they like to keep in their coffers, where if they have to start dipping into it, they feel at that point that they're broke or poor. So what I clearly see here is that the poor whites who are connected to the middle class whites, who are connected to the upper class whites, are probably being forced to dispense and go into those cachets to feed everybody else. So, which is really, really devastating to them at this point. Trust me, you may not see it, but trust me, it is. And it goes to show why all of the stores are empty as they are right now. Jehovah is forcing these people to empty out their wealth. Allegedly. That's why the stores are empty, and that's why they haven't started to raid these economic centers. However, I think the clock is ticking. I really do. I think the clock is ticking. You know what also too has been brought to my mind is the colonization of everything that Satan's children were allowed to take over and either impersonate or hide or keep from us. I think we are going to be astonished about how deep and how striking the criminality of whiteness and in the holy of holy centers and books and films and thought and revelation, how much they really occupied it. I think the occupation is really complete. I was looking last night on the net about many of the inventions that were attributed to white folk, either through them openly stealing the invention or just by omission of the black inventor. Just as long as they didn't say anything, they could simply allow the ignoring of that black inventor to then be filled in the space that it came from them. I was reminded about the 13 families that make up the bloodlines. And also, I looked over, researched again, or looked over my notes actually, about the black nobility and how they folded themselves into whiteness. And what that means is that many of them actually, like with their portraits, with their writings and whatnot, but really with how they look, they were once full frontal, right? You knew that they were black people. And I was watching something online that says that they commissioned during the 1500s to have their paintings covered over so that they can hide in plain sight, covered over in whiteness. So many of the portraits that you see of the nobility throughout Europe that look pasty white are really actually painted over, and then sometimes on their fingertips or on the outline of their faces you can see the blackness. And you got to ask, well, why would they do something like that? Like, what would possess them? And one would think, why would they do that? Well, because it was Satan's kingdom, and he was not going to take black people because we were too attached to the Creator. And in order for them to show that that they still wanted to be in power, that they're willing to be in power with him, he let them know, listen, I'm not taking black people with me to rule openly. I'm not. I am here, and I am going to be using those of the Caucasian race, those in Upper Europe, as my viceroys, as the intermediaries of my rule. Now, either get on board with that or you get busy going to your death, right along with these other Negroes that I'm sending over to the other part of this planet. And I think many of them, if not most of them, decide that no, we're willing to do this. We can hide, but we'll hide in plain sight. So we'll turn ourselves white, and we'll have the world get to believe in the lie that we are white people when we're not. And we would enfold ourselves into the whitest counterparts of Upper Europe, or through all of Europe, until we bleed ourselves phenotypically into white-looking people. And so why is this important? Because today I believe, even with the chosen that are walking around today, those that are going to comprise of Christ's kingdom administration, these humans, I think many of the holy writings were originally done by black people that may or may not have been part of the black nobility. My guess is they probably weren't. Or those who decided not to play ball were sent over here through the transatlantic slave trade to be slaves and stripped of their royal blood, or at least the acknowledgement of it, who remained black. But I think the ones that went ahead and went with the great Satan, I think that those royal people and even the anointed ones are going to find out many of the holy writings that have been attributed to white folks may not have truly been written under them, but that they were written by an anonymous black person, or a person due to had been made anonymous, were written and stole their identity and stole their work. And this is not, I think that's going to be really, really hard. I'll speak more about this a little later, but yeah, that was what's brought to my attention, is that everything that that is up right now is literally down in more ways than one. And on the flip side of that is that the kingdom is absolutely now ruling, even though it hasn't been completely manifested to the world, which means that we haven't seen a complete upturn of the power of Satan's children being removed. So that is to come. That's the next thing to come, when we know that they're no longer making any laws, setting any boundaries, setting any precedents. We're not following what they're doing. We will know for sure that things have been changed. And so that is actually on its way now. And that's why things are the way they are right now. We're headed toward, unfortunately, but fortunately, a cataclysmic event. Well, all truth will be forced to be revealed. Do what you can to take care of yourself and keep yourself in line with the Creator of the universe. And if you are white, And if you have the mercy bestowed upon you by the Most High to lead you to this video, then I would say take hold of it. Even though it may feel painful, it just may save your life. And really consider turning back from your bad ways. I say start with the 12-step program or any type of recovery program for any sickness that you may be dealing with that contributes to this wicked world. Otherwise, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.